Down in the Den, the best podcast on earth, is about to begin. We are here with another stellar guest for another stellar episode. So I thank you all for tuning in. Like we do every single time, I ask you to hit that like button, smash, subscribe, turn on those notifications so when these episodes drop, you'll be the first to get an opportunity to consume them, man. I am honored. I am proud because I'm batting 1,000 when it comes to the guests. I make sure we're bringing you the artists with the most integrity, artists with the most talent, artists with something to say. And this young king right here definitely fits that mold. I want to give a big, warm, down in the den welcome to the king, Mr. Trell Brooks. How you doing today, Mr. Brooks?
Hey, man, that was a great intro, bro. I'm good. I'm feeling great now. For real, for real. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm feeling fantastic, splendiferous, excellent. It's another day above the earth. So, as long as you're waking up on the right side, you already winning.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I hear that.
Absolutely. Well, man, once again, I want to thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, coming down in the den, sharing your story, sharing your art with us. That's what it's all about here.
Yeah.
A little bit of background on us. DEN is an acronym for Dreams and Nightmares. And I tell everybody, like, when you follow that dream, that purpose that God put on you, it's going to end that nightmarish existence because you're fighting fate. And so many of us fight destiny, fight fate. And we're wondering why things aren't going right. It's because they're trying to steer you in the right direction. And if you don't listen, hard heads make soft behinds, as my mom used to say. But
yeah, that's fact.
But we start every episode the same way. What's your origin story? How did you fall in love with the art? How did you decide that this is your purpose to create this music and to create music with the purpose and music with a message?
Yeah, so my origin started really back in high school. It was an English class, and we had an assignment to it was to write about something. I can't remember what the prompt was. But we all turned them in, and the teacher didn't want us to write our names on it. She just we turned them in, and when she got done reading everything and going through everything, she pulled mine out and was like, "I don't know who wrote this, but I just want to read it to the class." And so it was very, it just had a lot of literary elements to it, and it was very descriptive. And she just says that she just remembers being so engaged with the writing and encapsulated by whatever I was writing about. And so at that point, I knew that, I'm just doing the assignment, just trying to make sure I did my work. But it was something there because it wasn't always music. And so a little later after that, I was dealing with something, I think it might have been like a relationship or something. And I had heard that, writing stuff down kind of helps get it out and then and kind of get through whatever you need to get through. So I tried it. And one thing led to another. It really stuck. I had a notebook that I actually found the other day. It was my very first poetry notebook that I would just write. I was writing in it every other day, every week, every month. I would stamp it with the month and the date, the year, whatever. And so my mom is an avid reader, self-help books, women books, just Black fiction or whatever. She just read all the time. And so I let her come across some of my poetry and what I was reading, and it took her by surprise. And so that was another thing that stood out to me. It was kind of okay, my teacher noticed something. It was high school. My mom, her eyebrows are raised in a good way. Oh wow, you can really write. This is really something that you got here. And so fast forward a few years after that, I ended up going to college. And at that point in time, I wasn't big on performing. I had never performed poetry, never rapped, never done any type of performance like that. And so I joined the local chapter of the NAACP, and they had this talent show coming up. And so I was like, well, they was asking everybody in the group, hey, anybody got talent? Anybody rap, sing, dance, whatever? And I was like, I write poetry. It's okay, what you got? And I only had one poem that I knew for sure that was strong, but I was a little nervous because I've never performed before. I never recited anything, never read my poetry, and I read it to them. They was like, yeah, you got to do that one. You got to do that one. And so between high school teacher, my mother, and then just the on campus groups that I was a part of that kind of reassured, whatever everybody else saw that I probably didn't really see. It was just something that I did. It really went from academic writing to creative writing to poetry. And that one performance at that showcase, that talent show, whatever, led to me doing more spoken word performances, more poetry performances, other campuses, church, just different events around the city. And what led into the rap and the music was I was just kicking it one day with my homies, and they was like, Trell, you really nice with the spoken word. You've been, been on tour, you've been on these poetry slams, you've been doing your thing with it. Like, I can almost guarantee that you could rap if you really try. And at that point, I was like, nah, because I wasn't a very social person like that. I wouldn't be the one that would always be, on Front Street or just leading the conversation and things. I would add value, but I would never be leading the charge when it came to that type of communication. And so I was like, nah, I don't think so. It was like, why not, man? You already writing. You perform your pieces. You writing. You sharing it with everybody. I'm like, that rapping is different though. You got the beat. You got different flows and styles, and so it was really my friends that kind of put the battery in my back and pushed me and influenced me to try it out. And I tried it. I never forget my roommate at the time. We had watched The Art of Organized Noise. I think that's what it was, with the Dungeon family out in Atlanta. And so we watched that. I think it was on Netflix. It was like the next day or two, he bought all the studio equipment because he was a musician as well. And he had just got so inspired. And so we had a home studio in our apartment from just him finding a deal online to get like a couple of monitors, a mic, an interface, and he had already had a laptop and the software came with it. So he got the bundle package, set it up in the crib or whatever. It took us a few days to figure everything out. And it took off from there. I mean, I did not like my first rap. I didn't like how I sounded. I thought it's completely different now compared to what I did back then. But I will say, man, if it wasn't for that teacher, if it wasn't for my mother, if it wasn't for whatever I went through in high school that kind of encouraged me to keep writing, and then the groups that I was a part of, the campus groups that I was a part of that knew I wrote, knew I did spoken word poetry. If it wasn't for them and then my friends just pushing me to get into music, I don't think I would be in this place that I am today lyrically. I think I'd still be writing, I still be, doing poetry or whatever. But everything now that I do is surrounded with words. I'm a teacher as well, so I incorporate a lot of my art into teaching and working with my students. And so it's really one of those things where it's a part of my life, like really right next to like air and water. You'll see me reading or you'll see me writing. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't gonna be one day that goes by where I'm not doing it. So that's kind of how everything started with me, my origin story.
Shout out to all those runs on the ladder that make sure that creatives keep that battery in their back, that help us on the journey, because as a creative, we're always faced with self-doubt. We're always faced of what we think everybody else is going to opinion is going to be. We always talk about the greatest fear is public speaking. They've done surveys, and it's like public speaking death. But public speaking is number one, which is great, which is crazy. So, I always tell people in this AI world, one thing that never will be replaced is the ability to actually connect and communicate with people touch to touch. That becomes more valuable in this AI world. Now, I hate to put you on the spot. Do you remember any of those first bars? Hey, no judgment zone because we've all been there. But
you talking about like those first rap?
Yeah, first rap or first poetry, whatever you're more comfortable with.
Jesus, what was it? Because I wrote it to what is that? What's that Outkast song? It was like Southern Playalistic
Cadillac, funky music, play us if you choose it.
What was it? I think, what was the rap? The TRELL with the lyrical flow, venomous lyrics, spitting the realest you'll ever know. Just a couple of years ago, I was at the round table thinking of ways we can leave and change before the wind can blow. So sit back, relax, we'll break you off like a Kit Kat, cause these raps will make you go back and say, who is that? And if the joint is the jam, yeah, my nigga hit that, elevate to a better place. That's all I remember, but like, I think that's what
that's
it was.
fire though. That's fire, man.
And I look back on it, I'm just like, ugh. Compared to what I'm doing now.
As much mumble rap is out there, trust me, even your most rudimentary bars are star systems ahead of what's out there. So hey, man, you still killing it. Now, you mentioned in your you always subtitle man of God, husband, father, educator. That order. And I like that in that order because it shows that you have, your purpose driven. How important is, because I listen to your music and you talk a lot about being a husband, about being an educator. You don't put any fantasy life in your music. You're literally the epitome of keeping it real. How important is it to make sure that those elements, because I've interviewed a ton of musicians in my years doing this, and so often artists feel they have to adapt to whatever the lifestyle is popular on the radio, even if that's nothing to the with themselves.
Right.
How important is it making sure that you keep these elements to the forefront?
It's beyond vital, essential, imperative, important. Like it's all of that and more, because I never forget a conversation I had when I was doing spoken word poetry, and I started traveling with this group, going from different college campuses and poetry slams and competitions and stuff. And the guys that I were under, I was just kind of like, oh, they are so dope. Like, bro, I'm a baby at this compared to them. Like, they really the OGs and the best. So I had pulled one to the side. I was like, let me ask you something. I'm like, what is it that y'all got that makes y'all like it? Like, just that y'all are so fire, y'all are so dope like that, and where people connect with you like that. Because I'm a student, always a student. So I'm standing back and I'm watching them perform. I'm in workshops with them, in writing sessions with them. I'm like, how you come up with it? I'm just soaking it all in. And the one thing that he told me, he was saying, well, one, it comes with experience, practice, you stay in the game, you'll get better, you'll develop. He said, but the most important thing is to stay authentic and to stay real. Like, and it was just as simple as that. And so this is years ago, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, whatever. And I never forget that. I was like, you know what? The reason why people are able to connect with us on certain levels or connect with certain pieces on certain levels, because it's touching on a human experience, an emotional experience, a spiritual, it's like whatever it is that we may be spitting about, like somebody in that crowd can relate maybe to that first part of the poem or that first part of the song, midway, the whole thing. Like, you never know, but you got to remain authentic to who you and true to who you are. And I think, because like you said earlier, I really am purpose and mission driven, with being a father, husband, and an educator. There's things that are just bigger than me. And then once you realize that you have a gift, that you've been blessed with certain qualities and traits, you understand that none of it's for you. And like, it's for me, it's never for the fame, the gain, or the glory, because all of that goes to God. All that goes to God Almighty. And I have to make sure that every day that I wake and I have another opportunity to write, to perform, to create, I make sure that I fulfill that ministry, whatever it is, whether it be the music, whether it be the education, whether it be my marriage and me being a better husband, working on that every day, as well as fatherhood, parenthood, because I understand the influence and the impact that I have. And it's not to like toot a horn or anything, but it's just reality. I understand, like, I don't know if you're a father or not, or leader, pillar in the community, but there's a difference. You can feel and sense the energy shift when dad walks in the room, right? Or when that teacher comes in, the class been cutting up, everybody want to straighten up now. And it's not that I have this power, to abuse and to manipulate. But it's like, no, God has really blessed me, and I'm being exposed to it more and more every day. And so when I do write, when I do perform, when I do create, I keep those people that I serve in mind: my wife, my children, my students. I coach my son's basketball team too. So my athletes, everybody, anybody that sees me in the grocery store, that knows me from summer camp or just from afar, from past, now, whatever. Like, I make sure that I keep that in mind, because I find it that it's better to really live what you rap and rap what you live, and have people see that light wherever you may go. Like I said, I may be in the grocery store and one of my students may see, one of my children may come down the stairs and see me in my word, studying. Like, it's and I don't do it just to be like, yeah, I really do this and I'm about it and here's what you see. Like, no, this is something that, whether you know me or not, when you hear the music, and if you ever meet me in person or come to a show, you'll know that everything is in alignment. Like, it ain't just I'm talking about this and doing that, and then you see me or you hear about me and it's a complete opposite. I said, nah, because one thing I understand is that this music, this art, especially in our genre, hip hop, has a. I'm sorry, my kids.
Yeah, you all good, man.
But it has so much influence. I'm in a meeting. All right, I'm in a meeting. Go back upstairs. It has so much influence, and we understand that there's life and death in the power of the tongue. And I'd rather be life, you know what I'm saying? Especially with my kids. Like, I got young ones, but I told somebody else, I said, the reason why I do this is because in the next 10 years, 15 years, they're going to be teenagers, young adults, and my music is still going to be around. Whatever I write, books, literacy or whatever, it's still going to be around. Sit down. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second.
Oh, you good.
So, yeah, the music that we're in, the genre that I'm in, and that art form has so much influence just across the world. And I know for a fact that, like, my kids rap my songs now. And when they get to an age where they can, like, have a better comprehension of what daddy was rapping about, what he was speaking about, whether it came to relationships, whether it came to, personal struggles, finances, dealing with, life, being racism, spirituality, like just parenthood, like whatever it is, I speak to a point, like, I'm an educator. So I speak to a point where I can still enlighten and instruct, but also just give my side of, life, as far as what I've experienced and what I've gone through and been through and grown through, so that people can learn from, my children can learn from, or somebody can be inspired and motivated by it. And so that's really why I do it. It's so important that more people and more artists get to be around creators and hear creators and consume what they're creating, that represents exactly the lifestyle that they're living, that we are imperfect, but we are trying to get better. We have these struggles, whether you're a parent, whether you're a business owner, whether you're an artist, whether trying to find your way spiritually. Like, I never speak on anything that I'm not personally in. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak on drug dealing. I can't speak on, you get sliding on the ops and like just it and it's not really to bash any artist who has been in that light or been in that life and has that experience, but it's I think it's a problem when that's being pushed and glorified in a way where these kids are singing these songs and rapping these joints, and I'm just like it's catchy, it's trendy, but like they don't even know what it's doing to their spirit. So I keep that in mind, because as artists, I feel like we have a very, very very real responsibility when it comes to this art and this craft. And I rather, when it's all said and done, I'd rather look back and know that I did all that I could to bring life, to give life, to shine light, to give inspiration, motivation, to teach, and to encourage through my music and through my lyrics, through my poetry, through my words, and just through the light that God has given me. And so, I mean, it's beyond important that I make sure that people are seeing me and hearing me and observing everything and consuming everything and knowing for a fact that that brother right there is in alignment with God, alignment with his family, alignment with his purpose, and you know, it ain't over until God called me home, and I'm just looking forward to everything else that I'll be able to create, the people I get to work with, and ultimately the lives that'll be affected and changed for the better coming out of it.
Yeah, well, I love the mission. I want you to keep keeping on that mission, because you, in your music, I heard a lot you say, grown man music,
Yeah.
and that's what we need, man. Because for a long time, I'm 40 plus,
Yeah.
and I love hip hop. I'm right at the age bracket where that's literally what I grew up on,
Yeah.
and because of my older brother, who was 10 years older than me, who really was there when hip hop was born.
Yeah.
I have an advantage that most people my age don't, because I literally seen it from the beginning. And then for what I do now, I get submitted tons of music to listen to for potential guests on the show. But I'm very picky on who we bring on, because I want to make sure that their message is in alignment with mine.
Absolutely.
Because as a brand, I want to make sure that they're in line. And every time I step out of alignment, it's always something
Right.
that happens, and I discover something about a particular artist, and I'm like, oh, that gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Listen to that little voice.
Yeah.
Now, you're on the East Coast, everybody. You can check out his social media right here. I've been putting it up throughout the show, but that's the best way to check him out, over on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't know what that NC stands for, it's not no contest. It's from a place where my family is from, North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
So please tell me, how has North Carolina influenced your music? Do you feel that the hip hop scene there offers something unique compared to other regions? I always, when I see people from regions other than New York and California, I always am curious on how that particular area influenced them. So, how would you say North Carolina has influenced your music or your sound compared to other regions?
I'm very proud to be from North Carolina, and obviously when it comes to hip hop, there are a laundry list of heavy hitters that come out of this state, or just the Carolinas in general too. But as far as the influence, I would have to say there's something about Southern lyricism that I just take pride in, because when we hear lyricism, when we hear lyrics and bars, especially hip hop, I think every region has its pride in it, and we think about the New Yorks, we think about the Californias, and even some elements of Chicago, but from North Carolina on down, I have listened to, obviously, J. Cole, Lil Brother, Ninth Wonder. I've listened, and Rhapsody, shout out to Rhapsody. A lot of the 919, 252 rappers, and being out here in Charlotte, it has, it's hard to explain, because North Carolina is also one of those places where a lot of people from different states move to. It's a lot of there's a lot of people that come in, and so I think that influences it as well. But I've always been a fan of lyricism and Southern lyricism, and so to know that we have our unique environment creatively and artistically, it definitely fuels a fire, because a lot of people don't think of lyricists being from the South. And so when you hear somebody like Nick Graham, you hear somebody like Trell Brooks, you hear somebody like Rhapsody and Cole and other people that are coming out of these regions, and they really spit, and some people will forget that they're from the Carolinas. And I'm very proud to just add value to the hip hop scene out here, and to understand that it's steady growing, the uniqueness and the just its own hub, because we got Atlanta, we got California, we got New York, and so these different areas are really growing into their own. And so of course the baby, who put on for Charlotte as much as any time that he can, representing hard, especially North Carolina and Charlotte. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I can tell it makes people want to travel out here to see what it's about. And it's one of those things where I could rap, I could do my poems, and I could talk about these other people, but there are some scenes out here that you just gotta witness and experience. When from Raleigh to Fayetteville to Durham, Greensboro, Charlotte, like I've been in a lot of these different areas for poetry, spoken word, and music, and it's you can't call it Atlanta, you can't call it Cali, you can't call it New York. We all have different influences, but it's in North Carolina. It's Carolina to the core. It's that barbecue sauce, it's that coleslaw, it's that fried
Vinegar
chicken.
base. Gotta be vinegar base.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's really homegrown. I can't explain any other way. So that influence just gives you a sense of pride. It gives you a sense of purpose. And it's fun. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we jumping on anybody's wave. It's kind of like, nah, y'all come see what we about. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Each one of you, those artists that you mentioned, are uniquely different, but uniquely talented.
Yeah.
So I'm from Virginia, but my grandmother's side from North Carolina. I
Okay.
just spend every summer down there, and I'm talking about North Carolina with satellites on every outhouses, catching chickens out the back.
Yeah.
Like, but there was a soul there that when I went there, I was like, yeah, it's something about the soil
Yeah.
that puts something. It's something different. So salute to NC. Shout out to Petey Pablo. Put your
Yeah.
hands spinning around the helicopter. One of the
Sure.
first putting on for Carolina in a big
Right.
way.
Right.
So I love that. I love that. Now, as a father, as an educator, something you touched on when you saying these projects that you put out, this music that you put out, it's gonna be here after you're gone,
Yeah.
and it's literally giving your testament for your children, and not only your biological, but the ones you teach, the ones you coach.
Yeah.
When people look back on Trell Brooks' career years from now, what do you hope they remember as far as your legacy in this world of hip hop?
To gain the wisdom that you need to gain and to apply it. Really, that's because nobody's going to have the exact same uh life experience. You will have similar, but one thing about humans and one thing just about people in general, we all will experience suffering. We all will experience loss. We all will experience gain. We'll all experience a sense of pride, a sense of um just highs and lows, and just different in different areas of our lives. But I think one thing, because I'm in my word a lot more these days too, just studying scripture and trying to get more of a revelation for what God is doing in my life and speaking, and how is he speaking to me. And so the biggest thing for me is that that I gain wisdom, and not that I just gain it just to say that I have it, but it's one thing to have it, it's another thing to apply it. And so I have this whole movement that I'm kind of restarting and revamping. It's called Learn, Apply, Adapt. And because I am an educator, that comes from you know just what I do in the classroom. I teach these students; they're learning something, and then we create these environments or these scenarios or these problems for them to apply what they learned, and then have the opportunity to reflect or to adapt or see what could have done, what you did right, or what you could have done better, or what are some areas that we still need to work on. And so I take that and apply it to as a concept for life as well. Like, as we're growing, as we're developing, we're not the same each and every day. No matter if you're intentionally going about it or not, we are growing each and every day. And so there's an aspect of you that needs to continue to seek wisdom, right? Seek the wisdom, and to make better decisions. Seek the wisdom to have more confidence about yourself, and to not uh, be arrogant. To be more generous, to be less selfish. Just different things that everybody can work on in different areas of their life, but it's really just to gain wisdom and to understand that if you're not dead, God's not done. Right? I think we get down on ourselves a lot when it comes to our lives and our situations and where we think we should be, and certain things that we think we should be doing. But we got to understand that there is a greater purpose for our lives, and it's not necessarily for us, but it's for God and His kingdom building and His glory. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And so when it comes to my legacy, I don't even necessarily want it to be so much about Trell Brooks. I want it to be, well, what did you gain from, what did you learn? What did you get out of his music, his teachings, his presence, right? Like, every time I was around him, man, he just spit game. It wasn't judgy, it wasn't like preachy, but it was just something that like just stuck with me, whether something I said, whether it's books that I write, because I plan on writing books in the future. It was this one chapter when he was talking about blah, 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 blah. I know he's married, and I know I'm about to get married. And it ain't been the easiest thing with me and my lady. Like, how you navigate, like, just whatever guidance, whatever encouragement, whatever gain that I can get, I hope that it's in that they see it, that it came from love, that it came from great intentions, and that somebody can grow wiser from it. That's really it, because when you know better, you do better, and then when you're doing better, the people around you can benefit from that growth and that development that's taking place in you. So that's it, man. Just steadily growing, steadily progressing, and continue to gain and apply the wisdom, through your life experiences.
It's a hell of a legacy, and you're well on your way, brother. You're well on your way.
Thank you.
So my last question for you: what can the fans expect from you in the near future? Are there any upcoming projects or collaborations that you're particularly excited about? I'm a journalist by nature, so I need a little bit of a scoop. You got to give it all to me, but a little bit of a scoop of what we can expect in the near future.
Yeah, man. So I'm very excited to announce that at September 1st, in Charlotte, North Carolina, they have a 2-day festival. It's called the Pulse Experience, hosted by Kitty Mo from True Dreams Radio, and sponsored by Dope Events and a couple of other organizations around the city. We have Nick Grant as the headliner for day 2. We have De Niro Ferrar as headliner for day 1. I'll be performing on day 2, and that's Sunday, September 1st. So I'm going to be performing my new single, unreleased. We're gonna release that soon too. It's called Snap. It's gonna be my newest single, first single that I'm releasing in the year of 2024. It's called Snap, and I'm excited, man. And one thing I was telling my team is that now that I'm not concerned about the rapping or the writing. Like, people know my pen game is solid. I'm not trying to prove to anybody that I can rap or I got the sickest flow. Like, I ain't even on that anymore, because I used to be on that in my early days. Like, yo, let me get this out. I hear something like, oh, he ain't nice to me. I'm not on that anymore. I'm really on creating moments and creating experiences through my performances, through me just engaging with people, because I haven't had too much time to do it, or too many opportunities to take advantage of. And so now I'm really more focused on, okay, when is this showcase coming up? Let me see if I can get in that. Here's an opportunity to perform. Here's an opportunity to network or do a podcast. So I'm really working on just being more engaging, so that's really more so in the next several weeks, months coming up. For those that'll follow me, those that do follow me, you'll see that some of these events will be coming up: Charlotte, South Carolina, and surrounding areas. I'm just trying to connect more. I'm just trying to connect more with people, get my name and my face out there, and I believe that the music will kind of take care of itself.
Absolutely. I tell aspiring artists, independent, signed, veterans in this industry, it's all about relationships.
Yeah.
Because there's a million talented producers, directors, singers, rappers, musicians, whatever it may be. There's a million of them. That's not unique. But having a message is unique. Having a purpose is unique, and building those relationships. So, brother, I definitely appreciate you sharing your story, sharing your plans for your legacy. I'm a fan of the music and the man. So I want to welcome you into the DenMate community. We're more than just a podcast. We are a family. We are creatives that all our missions are the same. It's just to make sure that we make this earth a little bit better than when we came in. So I appreciate you, brother. We're going to get you some merch. We're also going to put you in the group chat. It's a great way to network. We have a ton of talented artists from all genres of music. So we're going to put you in that group chat. Like I said, my resources are your resources. So part of the community, if you say, yo, Mars, I need a dope producer that does reggaeton, I got somebody. Here you go. You know, yo, I'm looking for a photographer, and I got somebody.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we do that 100% free because we want people that make the culture better and make sure the culture is going to exist long after we're gone in a better place. So you fit that bill. Welcome to the den. Welcome to the community.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Once again, lyrically dope, but what's even more dope is the message and what you're doing for the community. So I personally salute you.
Thank you.
Let people know one more time where they can find you on social media, and of course where they can find your art.
Yeah, so on social media, you can find me on Instagram. It's mainly where I put most of my stuff, but Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Trell Brooks NC. Trell Brooks NC is from North Carolina. And my music, as far as my music, all streaming platforms, you know, Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, just wherever you stream your music, I can guarantee you I'm there. And I just, again, man, I appreciate you having me. I appreciate you welcoming me in. That means a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna definitely remember this moment and keep in touch because I do have some plans. I got some things in the works. I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm continuing to build with like-minded individuals, and like you said, man, leaving this earth a little better than we found it coming in, man. So salute to you for all that you're doing down in the den, man, and much appreciation for what you're doing, man. For real.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please do me a favor right now. Go on your Instagram, give my brother a follow. Go on your Spotify, your Tidal, your Apple Music, your Amazon Music, wherever you stream music legally, and go ahead and listen to what he has. There's a ton of great art out there with more to come. September 1st is the date for the concert, so make sure if you're in the, you said what area in North Carolina?
Charlotte.
Okay. If you're in the Charlotte area, September 1st, please make sure to head out there. Night 2, my man TRELL is going to be performing, and you know he's going to kill it. So please go out there and support. And we're going to end this episode like we end every episode here in the den. It's all about peace, love, unity, and respect. Deuces.